Hey, it's Chaya and I'm back with another episode of Unstuck and Unstoppable, a series created for people like me and you who want to get out of every situation that is unhealthy and want to find a way to be unstoppable. So the last few days we talked about instead of reacting, how you respond. We talked about why you react. We talked about transference. We even talked about how you be proud in yourself, something you really deserve. We took a moment to just be proud of yourself. And today, I want to go one step deeper. I want to go one step deeper to another thing that stands in your way and on a big scale, one that we don't like to really look at, one that we like to kind of pretend it doesn't exist. Well, today, we're going to bring it to the light, which is going to be the bottom line on how we actually heal this. Bring it to the light. Remember that. So what am I talking about? I'm talking about shame. I'm talking about self-shame. This is a huge topic. So before I get into it, I want to say, gosh, I lived with shame all my life. I remember at like 5, 6 years old, being this little girl and standing there and just shaming myself, making myself feel ashamed about everything. And it kept growing as I got older. That was just the way I would deal with things, with everything. It was a way that I took responsibility by being ashamed of not knowing better, by being ashamed of the results, the response I got. Yeah. Whew. Okay. Now, if you're being really real with yourself, we all have shame on some level. I want you to look back to the first time you can remember yourself shaming yourself being ashamed. I want you to go back as much as you could, create some sort of image that you can, and it might not be a full-on story. It might just be a moment, and it might not be the first. It might be the one that's coming up now as a strong moment. But I want you to go there a second and look at the time that you shamed yourself. Did you deserve it? See, I have this moment that's coming up right now. I was around like 12 years old, and my mom had a miscarriage, and my grandmother decided that it was because of me. And for a couple of months, but the moment that's coming up right then is the moment after she told me that. And I remember I ran to my room and I was like, wait, could that be possible? Did I make her lose her baby? And at that point, I started shaming myself. I started beating myself mercilessly, telling myself what I should have done and what I did wrong, how crazy I was, how I was going to go to hell because I killed a baby. But now as an adult, when I look at it, what kind of story was that? That's crazy. Someone was looking for someone to blame and they blamed me. But I didn't do anything wrong. And even, God forbid, if I did, not in this story, but let's say in any story, even if I, God forbid, did do it, I don't deserve shame. So even if you did something wrong in that story, you don't deserve shame. You want to take ownership of what you did wrong and move on and find ways of healing for yourself and anyone else. But you don't deserve shame. Shame is horrible. And shame there's something to understand about shame. Shame only lives in the dark. It can only live when no one else knows about it. And that is why I said bring it to the light. See, if you say what you're ashamed of out loud, and if you say it to the person that you're saying you're most ashamed of it will start to dissipate, completely disappear. Really. And the reason for that is because shame cannot live in the light. Shame cannot live when you're conscious, because consciously, there is no way I killed my mother's baby, unborn child, right? I understand that it's hard to grieve that and it's easier to put it on a 12-year-old girl, but there is no way I killed her. I killed this baby. I don't even remember what the story was, why I did it, like how I did it. To me, once I heard that, the shame showed up, and I went to my corner into the dark and I allowed it to live. Had I spoken out loud about it, I'm pretty certain someone would have told me that's not a really normal, like that's not cool, and that's not true. And the reason I use that example, because it's so extreme and it's so easy to realize on that example that shame has the ability to make you literally, and it ate me up for months. For months, it ate me up. I thought about that child. I dreamt about it. And I was creating this, but it was my way of dealing with it. Like, I dreamt about that kid, yelling at me and telling me, like, how dare you? And until there came this one day where I spoke about it out loud, not to anyone, but to myself. And I spoke about it. And when I spoke, I suddenly said, Chaya, you have a choice right now. Either you can continue to pretend that this happened and use it as your excuse for feeling all your bad feelings, or you can recognize that this is madness and let it go. Thank God I chose to let it go. Shame will go away when you put it in the light. It will give you the choice to go away when you put it in the light. So, for example, if you're ashamed of something you did with someone else, and you can find a way to speak that shame from a level of ownership, it will go away completely. Okay, so now that I give you the back end of it, let's do it. I want you to think of another moment that you're ashamed of from here and now, from the last few, from the last year. All right, got it? Once you got it, I want you to think of why you're ashamed of it. And notice how uncomfortable it is when you start to look at shame. Shame doesn't like to be noticed. Shame likes to live. Therefore, it likes to be in the dark and no light on it. Put the light on. Put it on a stage, put the light on, and start to recognize it. What is it saying? Oh, God. Once you get a full-on view of what is going on, I want you to see if you reacted or acted in any way that was not true to yourself due to this shame. Oh, God, I did. And then, once you see that, who did you hurt with it? Is it just you? Is it anyone else? Did you make someone feel not so good just because you were ashamed of your feeling or of what you thought you did? If the answer is yes, now's the chance. You may not have the courage to go over and talk to them in person, and that's okay. I'm not asking you to put yourself in an uncomfortable situation quite yet. But I want you to right now pretend that they're in front of you and practice saying it out loud. This is how you do it. So, hey, I'm actually really ashamed, and therefore it's hard for me to say what I want to say in the clearest way possible, but I'm going to do my best to put the shame on the side and talk to you. What I did then was wrong. I hate apologizing. What I did then was wrong. I was acting out of a place of trying to make myself feel good enough, and it was wrong. The truth is, I want to apologize. I am sorry. And I love you. If that's true for you, say that too. And yeah, is there anything you want to talk to me about in this area? I will do my best to put the shame aside and hear you out and be there for you through it. That's how you do it. And what happens as you do that is you start to be able to breathe and put the shame aside. So, I want you to do that yourself. Practice that. Pause me right now and do that. Talk to the person, say it, and find that space in between the shame. And notice, you have a choice. You don't have to be ashamed. Shame is always there if you want it, but so is ownership. And ownership means taking ownership of the fact that we are human. We are human. Okay? That means we're going to have ups and downs. That means we're going to take it out on people and the people we love the most. If I love you and you're not getting triggered by me, something's off. We're not being real with each other. That's how it works. That's what human is all about. All right. I know I gave you a lot to think about and a lot to do. So go do it. And I'll see you soon. Have a good one. You know what to do. Do you? Yeah. Like and subscribe right now. See you soon.